Good morning, rise and shine to the morning momentum, your daily dose of a comprehensive rundown of the top stories making the headlines. Today being a 14th day of February 2025. Happy Valentine's Day from wherever you are watching us from. And this is a daily compendium of local and international news, human interest stories, current affairs and expert opinion. The hashtag on X this morning is the morning momentum at Younib Media TV at Alfonsoh Albuquerque. Thank you so much for creating time to keep us company. Let's take a look at the top stories making the headlines on the papers this morning. We start with the Daily Nation. How Raila AUC vote will shape Ruto 2027 race. Now, veteran politician Raila Odinga's fate in tomorrow's election of the AUC Commission chairperson will have a huge political ramifications back home. Win or lose, it would trigger new realignments with key players in the 2027 State House contest, including President William Ruto, watching keenly and hoping for a favorable outcome. You want to catch up with that story on page 4, 5, and 6 of the Daily Nation this morning. Also, Odinga's quest suffered a blow yesterday after Southern African bloc rallied behind his rival. So we are waiting to see the direction the AUC elections are going to take tomorrow in Addis Ababa. In other stories this morning on page 2 and page 3, out with the roses in money bouquets, Valentine's Day special. Now, on Valentine's Day, many women receive red roses or teddy bears clutching love messages or are taken out for dinners. Others receive words of appreciation, hugs, and kisses or smiles. But some Kenyan men are going above and beyond to show appreciation by gifting their lovers extravagant bouquets made of crisp currency notes. You want to catch up with that on page 2 and page 3. Happy Valentine's again, and all the best for those who are not going to receive money bouquets. Now let's take a look at page 10. Report lays bare drug abuse crisis in universities. Now, a new survey has revealed how creative university students are increasingly abusing bang and other hard drugs through edibles such as cookies, mabuyu, lollipops, and fruit juice. It also shows that female students are fast catching up with their male counterparts in substance abuse. That story is beefed up for you on page 10. In the world of politics this morning on page 7, Gachagwa's allies kicked out of top Senate posts. Now, allies of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in the Senate have been removed from chairperson positions of powerful committees as the purge gets underway. In page 8 this morning, Waititu fails to raise fine sent to prison. Now, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu was fined 53.5 million shillings or serve a 12-year jail term in default for receiving kickbacks. That story is beefed up for you on page 8. Let's get up close and candid with the Nation this morning on page 2. Nation, quote unquote, staff donate blood to celebrate Valentine's Day. Now, cancer, kidney failure, and accidents among leading factors for blood demand. Experts say a healthy man can donate blood every 3 months, while women can do so 3 times a year. On page 3 this morning, my man gifted me 150,000 shillings cash bouquet. Now, florists explain why they take measures to ensure the money remains secure during delivery. Content creator says it is better than just being handed cash from a wallet. Quite interesting. Let's get a little bit into that. On Valentine's Day, many women receive red roses or teddy bears clutching love messages or are taken for dinners. For men who believe a gift is similar to gratitude, their women will receive words of appreciation, hugs and kisses or smiles. However, some Kenyan men go above and beyond to show appreciation by gifting their lovers extravagant bouquets made of crispy currency notes. Among those who have received this type of gift is Joan Mudeo, who received a gift worth 150,000 Kenya shillings. I know many of us are here at the words of gratitude, and that is what some people will receive today. All the best. Let's take a quick look at page 4 on the Daily Nation. how Raila AUC fate will shape 2027 race. Now, for President Ruto, a victory for Mr. Odinga would be a major boost in his bid to inherit some of the opposition bastions, including the Nyanza, Coast, and Western blocks. It would also cement the leader's political reapproachment. Now, whether he wins or loses, the outcome of tomorrow's vote in Addis Ababa, in which Odinga is vying for AUC chairperson, will have huge political ramifications back home. Let's take a look at the disparity. Win to secure Raila a 4-year term. Now, if Mr. Odinga assumes the seat in Addis, his first 4-year term would end in 2029, 2 years after the next presidential election. While he could opt to play a role in the election campaigns, his involvement would be diminished and controversial. That story is beefed up for you on page 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Now, on page 6, SADC jolts Raila bid for continental job. Election for the chairperson of the Africa Union Commission is scheduled for tomorrow in Addis Ababa. Regional bloc encourages its members to support the former Madagascar foreign minister. The campaign team of Kenya's candidate for the African Union chairmanship, Raila Odinga, is putting on a brave face after the 16-member SADC community threw its weight behind former Madagascar Foreign Minister Richard James Randriamandrato yesterday. Mr. Odinga and Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mohamed Ali Yusuf had 4 months been considered the leading contenders, but the last-minute endorsement of Mr. Randriamandrato could complicate the vote. The election is set for tomorrow in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Also on page 7 this morning, the fallout. Gachagua allies kicked out of Senate committees' top posts. Now, Junet says Budget and Appropriations Committee has attracted many MPs. Those targeted voted in favor of Gachagua during the impeachment motion. Allies of former Deputy President in the Senate have been dropped from chairing powerful committees. Senators Joe Nyutu of Murang'a, Karungo Wathang'wa of Kiambu, James Murango of Kirinyaga, John Methu of Nyandarua, and Kanarseki of Kajiado are the first victims of the parliamentary purge targeting Mr. Gachagua allies. You want to catch up with more of that on page 7. Let's move on to page 8. Waititu fails to raise fine, sent to prison. The court fined ex-governor 53.5 million shillings or in default serve a 12-year jail term for receiving kickbacks. Magistrate dismissed Waititu request to be taken to hospital. Now, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu yesterday began serving his 12 years in prison for corrupt business dealings during his tenure at the devolved unit. The Anti-Corruption Court sentenced Mr. Waititu, along his wife Susan Wangari and their married couple associates over corruption. Mr. Waititu was thrown behind bars at Industrial Area Prison in Nairobi after the court declined his request to be escorted to hospital for treatment for an undisclosed illness. More of that is beefed up for you on page 8. Let's move on quickly and take a look at what we have on page 10 this morning. New Nakada report reveals drug abuse crisis in universities. Now, students are finding new ways to partake of drugs. Survey finds that new drugs and substances are gaining traction among university students. Now, a new survey has laid bare the drug abuse crisis in Kenyan universities, with students increasingly abusing bhang and other hard drugs through edibles such as cookies, mabuyu, lollipops, and juice. The survey report, which highlights the worrisome creative ways substances are being introduced into students' daily lives, reveals that female students are catching up with their male counterparts in substance abuse. At the same time, the report on the status of drugs and substance use among university students in Kenya shows that alcohol, tobacco, bhang, miraa, and even emerging substances like methamphetamine and codeine syrup are finding their way into the lives of varsity students. Quite a sad state of affairs right there. Let's move on and take a look at national news now. The enduring legacy of His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan and a vision for the future, the commitment to improving lives through education, health, and economic development has left a mark. Now, you want to catch up with that human interest story on page 12 of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's move on and take a look at the expert opinion. Now, why rising healthcare costs will hinder access. Many people pay for healthcare out of pocket, meaning they make direct payments to health facilities at the time of accessing healthcare services. You want to catch up with that on page 15. Also, parastatal is a gem that should not be dissolved. Among the state corporations earmarked for dissolution following a January decision by cabinet is the non-script, quote unquote, President's Award Kenya. The President's Award scheme, as it was formerly known, was introduced in Kenya in 1966 with President Jomo Kenyatta as founding patron and chief trustee 10 years after it was set up by the late Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. You want to catch up with more of that story on page 14. Now, page 16. For Raila, night will be long but different. Now, the more likely scenario is that Mr. Odinga will win in the first round, bearing that he will take it in the second. You want to catch up with that on page 16. Let's move on and take a look at other stories on the on the Daily Nation this morning. The DN2, the Voice article this morning is about the price of love. Quite interesting. As widows cherish memories of past Valentine's Days, young feminists chart new paths to romance. More of that is beefed up for you on page 4 and page 7. Let's peep a little bit into that on the DN2 The Voice article this morning. When love lives on, Valentine's Day through a widow's eyes. Now, through intimate conversations, 4 women reveal how they have remained Valentine's, how they have reimagined Valentine's Day, from continuing family traditions with their children to choosing solitary reflection on this emotionally significant day. You want to catch up with their stories on page 4 and page 5 of DN2 The Voice article. Now, on the previous story that we just read about the feminists, now let's get into that. Love in the time of feminism. I'd rather be alone than compromise, quote and quote. Now, in an era of evolving gender norms, love takes on new meanings for feminist women. From rejecting name changes to redefining marriage, they embrace relationships built on mutual respect and self-preservation. Feminism reshapes modern romance, challenging traditional gender roles in love, dating, and marriage. 4 feminists again share their perspective on the autonomy, equality, and relationships, rejecting societal expectations while navigating on love in their own terms. Page 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the DN2 The Voice article. All that is beefed up for you there. Also, Valentine's Day reflections, why love needs a village. Quite interesting. You'll read that for yourself. Let's move on to county news on page 21. County speakers CU Salaries and Remuneration Commission demand 5 million shillings car grants. Now, speakers are allowed an official car, which they say is shared with clerks. Assembly's bosses say the commission has discriminated them on transport. You want to catch up with that on page 21. In Nairobi County, briefly, 3 Ugandans arrested in raid. 4 suspects were arrested in Mukuru Kayaba South B in a raid led by Chief Edwin Murunga. Among the suspects are 3 Ugandans and a wanted illicit brew seller who has been evading arrest. In Machakos County, 200 electricity meters stolen. A total of 200 out of 1,800 electricity meters in various public institutions have been stolen. Energy Chief Officer Simon Kirima said the county government is paying electricity bills amounting to 2 million shillings for meters installed in private facilities. Now, in matters education, Gatoto School to be managed jointly. The High Court has temporarily allowed the new head teacher of Gatoto Community Primary School, appointed by the Ministry of Education, to continue overseeing the institution's academic administrative affairs. In Eldoret as a city, 6 months later, the hits and the misses. Now, locals accuse authorities of doing little to end pollution and garbage menace. You'll catch up with that story on page 22 of the Daily Nation this morning. Also in Kiambu County, woman wipes out family, then kills herself. An 8-page suicide note, 4 bodies, among them 3 children, and a family torn between wishful thinking and coming to terms with the gruesome reality. That is the situation in Githogo in Githogoro slum near Runda Estate on the northern bypass. Monica Ndungu, 35 years, reportedly killed her children before taking her life Tuesday night. You'll catch up with that on page 22. Let's move on and take a look at now international news here on the Daily Nation. Trump's concessions to Russia spark concerns. Now, the ICC has issued an arrest warrant for the Russian president. The Kremlin said on Wednesday that Putin and Trump agreed to meet. US President Donald Trump has promised a swift end to the Ukraine war, but with talks about to begin, the author of The Art of the Deal may have already complicated his task by sacrificing leverage. In Dodoma this morning, institutions moved to clean energy. At least 551 public and private institutions in Tanzania have shifted from using charcoal and wood for cooking to clean energy, a state official told lawmakers on Wednesday. In South Sudan, Juba, now, South Sudan in polio vaccination drive. South Sudan and UN agencies launched the 4th round of polio vaccination on Wednesday, with the goal being 3.47 million children aged up to 59 months. And I quote now, in light of the challenging conditions, we urge everyone to seize this opportunity. Every child under 5 must receive an oral polio vaccine, end of quote. That is the Health Ministry Under Secretary Harriet Pascal Akelo said in capital Juba. Let's quickly move to business news this morning. We start with the agricultural sector. Farmers win as cane prices grow to 5,300 shillings per ton. Higher returns come into effect from February 10th. Producer glee after earnings were slashed last year following market glut. Now, the statistics say 300 increase in earnings per ton of sugarcane. All right, let's take a look at telco industry. Safaricom maintains dividend at 22 billion shillings. Safaricom has held its interim dividend payment at 0.55 per share, or a total of 22.04 billion shillings for all its 40 billion shares, despite a drop in its half-year profits in the current financial year ending March 2025. Briefly, in matters transactions, Airtel Money users get airtime refund for pay bill and bank fees. Now, Airtel Money subscribers will recover charges in card using transfer of money from bank accounts to their respective e-wallets in the form of airtime, as the telco moves to drive an increase in transaction volumes on its e-money platform. In the finance sector, Central Bank of Kenya raises 130 billion shillings from reopened bonds. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, has raised 130 billion shillings for the government from 2 reopened infrastructure bonds, whose auction closed on Wednesday after investors oversubscribed the offer amid expectations of interest rates coming down in the near term. In the transport sector this morning, Stanbic, Modern Coast, yet to settle raw in loans deal. Now, a dispute over payment of 485 million loan advanced by Stanbic Bank Kenya Limited to Modern Coast Coaches Limited is yet to be settled, as parties are still negotiating a court heard. You want to catch up with more of those on the business page on page 30. Let's take a look at sports news. We start with the rugby sevens. Now, Fijan mix in Kenya's sevens. Now, Kenya coach Wambua describe as Kubu as an all-round player. Cabra's Fijan magician Kubu named in Shujaa team for the World 7 Series Vancouver leg. You want to catch up with that on page 37. In matters volleyball, Champs Pipeline face selection headache ahead of Zone 5 Tony in Kampala. Kenya Pipeline women's team coach Geoffrey Omondi has admitted he is facing a selection headache ahead of the Confederation of Africa Volleyball Zone 5 Clubs Championships. The tournament serves off on February 26th to March 4th at the Lugogo Indoor Stadium in Kampala, Uganda. Now, also on page 38 this morning, defending champion Van Driel to lead Stella Field at Mudaika. This is Matters Gov. Now, 5 past winners will clash at the 56th edition of the DP World Tour event from February 20th. Overall winner will pocket 54.4 million shillings in the tournament, which has been brought forward from its usual March date. Let's take a look at the local football, that is the AFCON 2025 under-20, Kenya in Group C, together with Senegal, Zambia, and Sierra Leone. We fear nobody, Kenya under-20 coach says after draw. Babu confident with good preparations, Rising Stars will soar high in Cote d'Ivoire. Now, in the FKF Premier League, bullish Kakamega Homeboys coach Baraza shows his hand in league race. Now, Kakamega Homeboys coach Francis Baraza says the team has now gelled and is ready to battle its way to the top as they face Nairobi City Stars in a Football Kenya Federation Premier League match at Dandora Stadium in Nairobi from 1 p.m. today. Let's conclude with the cover page of the Daily Nation this morning. Now, pending bills, 34 private varsities demand 50 billion shillings. Public universities grappling with pending bills over 80 billion shillings. Now, vice chancellors say they have been forced to take loans to sustain their operations. Now, on to another story here on the cover page. We will no longer remit contributions to NSSF, governors say. County governors will stop remitting contributions to the National Social Security Fund, the Council of Governors has said. The Council's Liaison Management and Business Committee announced the move yesterday to protest the decision of the fund to decline their request for exemption. In a statement read on its behalf after a two-day meeting by its chairperson Mutahi Kahiga, who is also the COG Vice Chairman and Nyeri Governor, the committee sustained the push for better pensions and the medical schemes for saying they will not remit money to NSSF. We come to the end of today's session of the Morning Momentum. Thank you so much for keeping us company and for choosing Younib TV, the best youth television network in East and Central Africa. Our heartfelt gratitude also goes to all those who made this broadcast a success. Behind the lens this morning was Peter Ngituyu, and the chief controller has been Peninah Wachera. See you on Monday, same time, same place. Until then, do have a beautiful Friday. And once again, happy Valentine's Day. I have been your host, Alfonsoh Ouma.
Thank you.